Absolutely phenomenal morning, guys. This is your Breakfast with the Brand. I am your host, Shaan East, as always, flanked by the phenomenal Bobby Jackson. And I don't know, sometimes when you get back to the office, the wires get crossed, right? So I think we threw in the intro and then the countdown and something got turned off. But let me just tell you guys something. It's a phenomenal morning. I am happy to be back in the office. And as you can see, it is no tie Thursday. No tie. So I'm not tied down to anything. That's right. No tie Thursday. Glad to be back in the office. Bobby Jackson, how you feel on this no tie Thursday?
Feel phenomenal. I feel phenomenal. I wrote down turn threats into thrills. So I woke up this morning and I was like, it's the 29th. Started looking at my projections for the month. I say, we still got some cash to collect. We still got some threats out there that we need to neutralize. And I just said, okay, how can I have fun? How can I turn this threat into real? How can I say it's the 29th, got 24 hours, let's go after it. And I had a call with some phenomenal entrepreneurs this morning, clients. So I'm just feeling phenomenal. I'm feeling amazing.
Very good. Very good. Let me ask everybody in the chat. I think yesterday's training was insanely profitable. Who thinks yesterday's training was extremely profitable? There were a couple things that we talked about. We talked about the last first and the next first, right? That was something different. I don't know if I really took you guys through a training like that before. So let me know if that was positive for you guys, because it's going to build on something that I'm going to talk to you guys about today. So just stick around. It's going to build. Okay. Look, somebody gets it. Yes. So, Bobby, it's the 29th, but 29th doesn't happen. February 29th doesn't happen. There's usually 28 days in February, which means that this is leap year. Leap year, leap day. Today is the leap day of what is a leap year. That's right. Very positive. Listen, guys, this is quantum leap. That's what I want you to think about. Quantum leap. How can you make this year a quantum leap and just add a zero to your number, add a zero to your brand, add a zero to your business, add a zero to every single thing about you? That's what I mean when I say last first, next first. That's what I mean. Yes, sir. Leaping into the future. Quantum leap. It only happens once every 4 years. Yes. It does not happen every day. It doesn't happen every year. Your opportunities don't happen every day. Your opportunities don't happen every year, but there's something very important about this possibility and this opportunity right now, this moment. We'll be right back. This is your Breakfast with the Brand, but I just want you to think of how you can create a quantum leap in your life, in your relationships, in your health, and in your business. And we'll be right back. Let's grow. Welcome to the Breakfast with the Brand. There's slow growth and then there's scale. There's incremental growth and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
All right, so we got a couple phenomenal comments over here, right? Very positive, leaping into the future. Good morning. We're going to start talking about that phenomenal morning because that's what we have here, phenomenal mornings. Yesterday was a pivotal building block. Excited to learn earlier that we have 29 days. Guys, listen, you're on the cusp of something. We talked yesterday about your last first and what your next first is. We talked about that. There were some people putting some very, very great and powerful next firsts. Bobby, how did yesterday's episode impact you? Like, what were your thoughts after yesterday's call? Because, you know, we provide this call, but we also have to reflect on it as well. And it's unscripted, guys. It's unscripted. We might have some ideas, but by the time we jump on and maybe 15 minutes in, this is taking an entirely new turn. And we bring it to life with you. So we're co-creators of this. Bobby, what's your reflection on yesterday's call?
There were so many incredible comments in yesterday's call that let me know that I'm surrounded by phenomenal people. Like, guys, I don't know if you all know how small our world is now that we have technology. Like, now that we have these things, like, you can pretty much contact just about anybody, anywhere, at any time. And what yesterday's call did for me is it let me know that there's people on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all around the world that have done phenomenal things. So I was very interested to see that by me coming every morning, by the various individuals coming every morning, that we're creating energy. We're creating power. We're creating a collective consciousness that says mediocrity is not acceptable. What have I done that was excellent? And what can I do that is extraordinary? So as I just looked through the comments, and I was just like, man, that's a bad woman. Yo, that's a bad brother. Yo, that's a bad couple. I was excited, Coach. So that's what my reflection was. It was like, wow, I'm a part of something huge, bigger than me, bigger than, you know, the platform, so to speak, because of the people. And I just felt honored to be a part of it.
Very good. Very good. I want to introduce you to a relatively new concept, right? It's relatively new concept. And the reason why you're going to hear the terms. So the terms you've heard before, but the way I explained them, you've never heard before. And I know it because it just came to me. You get the exponential through incremental. You get the exponential through incremental. I actually had the idea of a book called Incremental Exponential. Like, what is your incremental exponential? Right? And the reason is because of this. The fewer things that you do will get you to where you're trying to go. If your vision is huge enough. So if your vision is big enough, guys, if you're next first, this is the powerful part. I'm going to give you a step-by-step process. The step-by-step process is this. Look at your next first. For all of you who were here yesterday, if you were not here yesterday, then go back and find out what we're talking about, because that next first piece. Hashtag next first. Somebody put hashtag next first in the comments, guys. And I'm not talking about next first like Netflix. Next first. Hashtag next first. What is your next first? And then I want you to look at the things that you do on any given day. This is leap day of a leap year. It comes once every 4 years. Think, guys. Think about your opportunities right now. I'm going to give you a hack. I'm going to give you $1 million key to creating the future of your dreams. Free. And this, anything you do in your day, in your week, in your month, in your year that does not factor into that next first, eliminate it. Eliminate it. Whatever your next first was, or you declare your next first to be, I want you to go through your day, your daily routine with a magnifying glass and put your daily routine, your patterns, your behaviors under a microscope. And anything that is not congruent, anything that does not promote, expand, or create the possibilities for your next first needs to be off your plate. Why? It will not be more of the same that gets you to exponential. It will be less of everything else that gets you to your next first and get you to exponential. In order to move forward, you have to subtract. It's not adding more things to your plate. You need to become more clear. And to become more clear, you have to become less busy and less distracted.
Wow. This makes me think about what it takes to figure out who you are. I had an epiphany yesterday, because you all that's been watching this know brand you not what you do. Like, if you've been watching us for any amount of time, you know that, right? I had this realization yesterday is, how can I brand me if I'm not being myself? What am I branding if I'm not myself? So when we talk about getting rid of, like, subtracting those things that don't belong, I thought that yesterday was really powerful. As I was going through my next first, I was saying, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that. And then I was looking at where I was today, and I'm like, what's stopping me now? Like, what's stopping me now from using that same energy, that same intensity? And what I realized was that I had adopted something along the way. So I want everyone to think about, are you being you? The version of you that you know you can be, because we've all accomplished phenomenal things. And when we accomplished that phenomenal thing, we were probably being the best version or the most natural version of us. And what's so interesting, because it happened to me, many of y'all saw my face blow up and slim back down. Like, when I was in the Marine Corps, I was crushing it because I was authentically in an environment that allowed me to be me, even though I didn't fully know who I was. But when I got out of that environment, I blew up physically, mentally, and got out of shape. And then I had to be put back in that environment. So as I give it back to Shaan here to really go deeper in this subtraction and addition piece that we're talking about, when were you the most elite, the most lean, the most executive and executing? And why aren't you doing that now? Because that might be a really good indication of where you might want to start with your list. Okay, oh, I'm doing this. Maybe I should stop doing that, because I wasn't doing that when I made my last accomplishments.
So adding a zero is exponential. Adding a zero is exponential. Like Bobby said, you become successful and then you get soft. You become successful and then you get soft. You get weak. And then you lose the gains that you had. So then you become hungry again. And you become angry again. And then you become successful again. And then you become soft again. It's like you got this you got this thing with the gas pedal and the brakes, the gas, the brakes, the gas, the brakes, the gas, the brakes. This is why I'm still in college, guys. This is why we're writing the 4th book. This is why we're working on the next course. This is why I'm going to my next event. And you guys just saw me yesterday in the surroundings of my last event. It's my last first, next first. I'm always creating my next first. I stay in the seat of creation. I stay locked in. 3 o'clock this morning, up, Adam on the treadmill, hitting it, cutting, ripping, shredding, sweating, tearing, building. And if you're not doing that, then you're destroying, you're eroding, You're wasting, you're losing. If you're not growing, then you're what? Dying slowly. You know, it was said that most people live lives of quiet desperation. We're not here for that. Like, you're not supposed to be in that space of suffering. You're supposed to be in that space of building. I want the people who have the education, the experience, and the expertise, all of my master's degree holders, to think about how hard that process was, but how locked in you were to get it done. All of my authors, I want you to think of how hard it was to really write that book, but how locked in you were to get it done. And I also want to shout out the would-be authors who haven't written the book, who haven't been able to yet write the book, and realize that non-authors are not authors. Non-authors are not authors. You'll never be an author until you write the book. You'll never be a master's degree holder until you transform yourself into the person that has a master's degree before you get it. So you got to become a millionaire before you become a millionaire, guys. And the way you do that is by subtracting everything that millionaires don't do. And if you don't do that, then what will happen is you might get lucky. You might get lucky and find $1 million, but you'll lose it so fast, it'll make your head spin. And then you'll be worse for having gotten it because you won't really know what it took to get there because you weren't tracking, and you won't know what it needs to be to get it back again because you haven't yet become the person. But I guarantee you this. What do they say, Bobby, about Marines? Once a Marine,
Always a Marine.
once a Marine, always a Marine. Once a millionaire, always a millionaire. Once you've gone through a quantum leap, you're able to do it over and over and over and over and over and over again. And this is how you go from incremental to exponential. It's not in the doing of a lot of different things. If you're looking for a promotion right now, if you're looking for a raise right now, if you're looking to lose weight or build muscle, it's not in the doing of more things. It's actually in the doing of less. People say, I want to lose weight, Bobby. I'm going to do this. 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 And they just need to stop and eat less. That's all. It's real simple. You want to build muscle. You say, I'm going to lift this and I'm going to lift this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to jump on here and I'm going to lift all this weight. No, actually, if you increase the weight and you lift less, you'll build muscle faster. If you sleep more and you are awake less, you'll build muscle faster because that's when you build muscle. The body regenerates itself during sleep. You know, people work out and they say, well, if I work out more, then I'll build. No, if you work out more, you'll actually lose. You set the stage, but if you don't get to sleep, then it doesn't build. It's not in the doing of many things that people become phenomenal, become rich, and become effective. It's in the doing of the few. It's in the doing of the few. It's a quantum leap moment, guys. Quantum leap year. Quantum leap day. It's not in the doing of more. It's in the doing of the few.
Yeah. This makes me think about another Marine Corps slogan: the few, the proud, the Marines. And it's because we are extremely selective about who can make it. We're very rigorous about the process that we put people through to make sure that they're ready and that they can do this. And one of those things that I want to share with you guys today as we go through what it means, because I know a lot of people know I'm a veteran and I relay my veteran experiences to business all the time because I found business to be a battlefield. So here's something that many of you all may be able to resonate with. There's something that you need to do that you're not doing because it's boring. There's something you need to do that you're not doing because it's tedious. Like, ask me how I know. Like, I'm the most get bored fast person you'll ever meet. Like, I'll be doing something and then I'll get to thinking about something else that I would much rather be doing, and it doesn't get done. So I wrote down this definition on my mirror that you all might be able to benefit from yourselves. And I said, like, what's hard work? Like, what is hard work really? And what came to me was hard work is doing the hard things. And nothing is really hard other than the things that you don't want to do. So when we talk about doing less, who wants to eat less if they have a habit of eating plenty? Who wants to do the boring things if they have a addiction to excitement? Like, and many of us do. This is America, so to speak. Like, we're all looking for the next dopamine hit because that's how we've been trained. And when scale says it's boring, when scale says it's simple, when scale says it's less, we say we want to scale, but we're faced with hard work, not difficult work, but hard work simply because it's work that's we don't want to do. And that's where I think a real good definition of hard work can be reapplied, because a lot of people are doing work. We're just not doing the right work. We're doing plenty of things. We're just not doing the right things. And as Shaan has said, we might be doing too many things. So my piece that I would share with everybody that's really been helping me do the right things is identify the hard thing that you don't want to do it first, and just get it out the way. And make a habit of doing it first and getting it out of the way. And the more you do the hard work, you'll realize you work really hard. And the harder you work, a wise man once said, the luckier you get.
Jim Collins said, the enemy of great is good. In the book, Good to Great, Jim Collins, who's one of the pinnacles in the personal and professional development industry, sort of like a Peter Drucker. What Peter Drucker was to management, Jim Collins is to personal and professional development. And in the book, Good to Great, he said that the enemy of great is good. Well, if the enemy of great is good, the enemy of phenomenal is great. The enemy of phenomenal is great. So if you feel like you're doing great, that's not the best position to be in. And you want to put yourself in a space where it's uncomfortable, which is why as soon as I got a master's degree, I jumped into the next one. In a completely kind of related, but different field, different study. Like, I've got 2 master's degrees in science, 1 master's degree of arts. And the master's degree of arts was harder than the master's degree of science. I had to think differently. It took a completely different way of thinking. And you would think that the master's degree of arts would be super creative and, because it's art. So it should be creative and expressive, but it's not. It's a different form of logic. It's a different way of thinking. And I had to put myself in a space of uncomfortability or elasticity. I had to stretch myself to recreate myself. And as soon as I got a 3rd master's degree, I said, okay, great. No, we're still not stopping. And I'm jumping into doctorate. And now I've gone from 1 doctorate. When they said, okay, you got all the coursework done in the doctorate, you ready to do the dissertation? I was like, nope. I love that. Like, I became somebody through that doctoral procession. It's in the process that you become. It's not in the culmination. It's in the process. It's not in the good. It's in the great. It's not in the great. It's in the phenomenal. And it's not even in the phenomenal. It's in the exponential. It's in the space of discovery. It's in the space of reflection. It's in the space of limitation. When you get stretched to the point of breaking and you don't break, that's when you need to take notes. You need to record that part and then let that be a brick, and let those moments of rebuilding, almost breaking, but recreating yourself, those become the bricks of an exponential life and an exponential business, an exponential physicality about yourself. You want to be more healthy, push yourself to the space where you don't know if life exists on the other side. That's how I feel sometimes when I'm on the treadmill. I'm like, I don't even know if like this is possible. I know we did like an hour the other day, and we probably did about almost 5 miles and almost 450 calories. And the reason was because it wasn't easy. People are too comfortable. They want exponential results, but they do very, very incremental work. People want exponential results. They want to add a zero, but they keep subtracting the hard work that it takes to become exponential or to get phenomenal results. And the reason why I'm having a quantum conversation with you guys is because it's Quantum Leap Day and a Quantum Leap Year. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. We'll be right back. You guys could probably put what I've just said under the microscope and dissect it for the next leap year, and still be cracking atoms and getting some more insights from it. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. I said Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a zero behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. Let me say something else too, guys. Exponential is evidence-based. Write that down, guys. Write that down, please. I want you to understand. I know sometimes you hear me say add a zero, and you know you want to add a zero to your number, make your yearly income monthly, your monthly income weekly, and your weekly income daily. You'll hear me say things like it's easier to close $1 million deal than it is $100,000 deal, and definitely more than $110,000 deals. Let me, how can I? All right, let me give it to you this way. There's more associate's degrees than there are bachelor's. There's more bachelor degrees than there are master's degrees. There's more master's degrees than there are PhDs. There's much more, so the competition is at the bottom. If you feel like you're looking for clients and you're struggling to get leads, and if everybody you talk to say they just bought something, they're working with this one or working with that one, then your prices aren't high enough, and you're not segmented enough, and you're not luxury enough, and you're not exclusive enough, and you're not executive enough. Because you should be selling something in a way, you should be positioning yourself in a way that you are not a commodity, you are an oddity. You are a Pegasus. You are a unicorn. You are the only viable option in your vertical. Let me give it to you this way. If I put out a job ad for lead generation, I need somebody who to just communicate with people, start conversations, and get people's contact information. That sounds like a pretty easy job, doesn't it? Just communicate with people on Facebook all day. Just touch people and tap people and get to know people and create conversations with people. It doesn't take a super high skill level. So I'm going to get a lot of applicants for that. I'm going to get thousands and thousands of applicants for that. But if I put out an application for a COO who knows IT, the divide and the collaboration of IT and the integrative nature of AI with IT, and turn that into an infrastructure that will catapult the organization from 8 figures to 9 figures. How many applications do you think I'm going to get for that? How many people you think are going to apply for that job as opposed to the lead generation guy? The incremental space is going to have 1 million applicants. The exponential space, maybe 3, maybe 5. The competition is at the bottom. If you're finding yourself in a competitive nature, then you're at the bottom. This is why you have to increase your skill set, guys. I tell you guys this all the time. I say it works inside the organization or outside of the organization. So if you're inside of an organization trying to get a raise your skill level, raise your qualifications so that you're outshining the bottom. You're more qualified than the bottom. It'll be easier for you to get a 6-figure check than it will a 5-figure check. But you got to put yourself in a 6-figure mindset. And then think about who and what jobs make $350,000. The applicant pool is thin at that level. At that height, the applicant pool is there's more planes above the clouds than there are in outer space. You got to get to a higher level, an exponential level where your competition does not exist. Bobby, what is your experience with the concepts that we're talking about this morning?
It's such a powerful conversation because I feel like once this clicks for you guys, like you become. And I am, so when Shaan said this is evidence-based, I wrote down 400 3 times, 400% revenue 3 times, because you're looking at it. When I came to the brand, when I came to Shaan Rais, I was raw clay. I was like, I had an idea. I had some experience, some expertise. I knew I needed some help, but I wasn't yet in the exponential zone. But 1 year of listening, showing up and doing the work, chiseled away some stuff. So what I'm hearing here is that, okay, I've seen the exponential growth in my life, so I stuck around. And then I saw exponential growth again, and I stuck around. And I saw exponential growth again. So what's really impactful about this is I know something about exponential growth, and that is once you get in the zone, if you can stay there, it doesn't stop. I hope you guys heard that. Like if you can get into the exponential zone and you stay there, the exponential at being exponential. And I know this for a fact, and this should really help you all because he said, I used to get paid for what I do. Now I get paid for who I am. And when we talk about the exponential zone, guys, I want you guys to pay attention to this. The first NAM. So for those of y'all that don't know, I got 3 Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Awards. And I have a Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal as well. And the first one was the hardest. And it was hard because nobody knew me. But the second, third, and the fourth award was like, I was no longer being awarded for what I did, but for who I was. And when we talk about exponential zone, and when we talk about making a lot of money, like turning your man, I don't say it as well as Shaan does, but I'm gonna slow myself down to see if I can get it right. Your yearly income monthly, your monthly income yearly, and your daily. I messed it up, but he says it great. But if you want to do that, like that's exponential, and that's what happened to me. But I just wanted to share that with you, is that once you get in the zone, guys, and you hit that exponential zone, it doesn't stop. And everything after that becomes exponential, to the point that you're no longer getting paid or compensated for what you do, but for who you are. And that was my experience. So I want to share that with you guys.
I wrote something down, right? Because this is the problem, right? We experience the reality, but we experience the negative version of the reality. We experience the reality. All of you have experienced the reality I'm talking about. But you might not have experienced, only the upper tier have experienced the positive version of what I'm talking about. Most of you, when I say these words, will feel something like it'll be impactful. Hopefully it'll be impactful positively. If you haven't experienced it on the positive side, then you'll experience it a little bit negatively. Compound interest. Compound interest. The negative side of compound interest is paying 3 times for something. It's getting a car that costs $25,000 and paying $50,000 for it because you try to stretch out the payments and pay as little as possible. $25,000 car, but because you are not exponential, because you believe in delaying the pain, you end up paying twice as much for it. That's the negative effect of compound interest. The positive effect of compound interest is that same $25,000 car, I could probably get it for 15, maybe 13.5, because I'm coming with cash. I'm coming with cash, and the cash is based on the things that I did before: the waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, the education, the experience, the expertise, the working, the saving, the discipline. Those positive attributes have a compound interest too. And the compound interest shows up as abilities. Abilities, as opposed to disabilities. Capabilities, as opposed to disabilities and being incapacitated and not being able to. You hear, there's a language that we use inside the leadership leverage, and sometimes I'll say something like being able to afford your opinion. That's an exponential conversation. Being able to afford your opinion is being able to get what you want, when you want, where you want, how you want, with who you want, for however long you want. You have an opinion. You say, well, I don't want to go to Bali. I don't want to go to, what's an outlier? What's something real close? Like, I don't want to go to DR. I don't want to go to the Dominican Republic. I want to go to Dubai. They both start with the first letter D, but one is going to take an increased budget. One is going to take a bigger budget. And I want you to think about the compound interest factor and look at this. You are your only limit. It's the thinking. It's the ideation that creates the limitation. That's something you should probably write down. It's the ideation that creates the limitation. You think that you're limited. You think that because nobody did it before you that you can't do it. You think, who makes $1 million a year? Who should want that? I can remember being there. Who should want that? Who should be there? Like, how is that possible? There's only 3 people that do it. And where I come from, there's 3 people that make $1 million a year. That's an athlete, a rapper, or a gangster. I didn't know there was an outlying possibility inside of the realm of education, experience, and expertise, and then impact, income, and independence. One is incremental. What do they say? You got to work long and hard. You got to save for a long time. You got to go to school for a long time. You got to work for 20 years. in the same place. That's incremental thinking. That's not a fact. The person who thinks exponentially says, okay, what do I have to do? What problem do I have to solve? And there's so many problems. It's really like just pick your problem and create your solution. Create your $1 million solution. Pick your problem. What's a $1 million problem? Most of us are looking at small problems and creating small solutions for small problems at the bottom where there's this huge, vast amount of competition, as opposed to picking out the North Star and saying, I'm going to fix that problem. I'm going to fix that problem. When I came into leadership and business, people had to ask me, what was I talking about? Because they didn't understand it. Sometimes I still have to clarify what it means to people. That's how much of a North Star it is. That's how much of an outlier the problem that I solve for people is. When I said that, when I first said that I'm a coach, people were looking at me like, for what sport? They said, okay, you're a coach. What sport do you coach? And I said, no, I'm more of a cognitive, behavioral, results-oriented business development, leadership development, performance coach. And then it was like, can you break that down for me? And I did. And this is why my checks were bigger from the very beginning than someone who's been in coaching for 10 years and hasn't made any money. I tackle a bigger bear. I was speaking with a phenomenal client just yesterday. And I said, a lion can't feed themselves with mice. You cannot survive. It doesn't make a difference how many mice you catch. They'll never feed a pride of lions, a pack of lions. You got to go get a buffalo. You need a bigger bear. You guys need a bigger bear. Stop looking at exponential problems. Stop looking at exponential opportunities, because those opportunities, those small opportunities that you think are viable, are actually obstacles to your quantum leap. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. You need you to think deeper, higher, further, faster. Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Shaan's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Shaan is the bomb.
I don't talk theory. I don't talk hyperbole. I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G-Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Shaan Rais. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
All right. Well, I hope you've learned some things this morning. Bobby, let's go into we about to go into reflection mode real quick, guys, before we get up out of here. I just want to kind of recap some pivot points, some poignant and pregnant pivot points that we've gone over this morning. What are some of those points, Bobby?
You know, for me, I've got 2 pages of notes here, but I'm gonna just give you guys those ones that stuck out a lot to me. Compound interest was one of them. That is negative and positive. You know, where do you want to be on the spectrum? And you do have full control over that. Another thing that I wrote down that we didn't really say directly, but it was a point that I took away was exponential growth may not feel exponential while you're growing, but the exponential leap is undeniable. Like, so I was just thinking back to all of my results, and I'm like, he led with the incremental leads to the exponential. He led with the subtraction, not addition piece. And then I just started thinking about it. So, hey, do not be discouraged if you feel like, dang, I'm doing the work, but I don't see the exponential. Like, it'll be undeniable when it happens. Trust me. You know, another thing that I wrote down was you must become a millionaire before you be the millionaire. You know, so it's really an exponential mindset and an exponential way of thinking. And the last thing that I'll share that I wrote down last, but I think is really insightful, is exponential appetite. You know, so I realized that the more I won, like winning in business has to do with the bank account. You know, the more numbers I was able to put into the bank account, the more of an appetite I had for putting numbers in the bank account. And sometimes we might not be where we want to be simply because we have a poor appetite. And that was one thing that I just wanted to put out there for you, is like, I won't get into it, but like my diet was off. Like I had an appetite for certain things, but I didn't know that certain things were off. And because I was eating those things and digesting those things and my appetite was at that level, I was getting certain results. So exponential growth also has to do with your appetite for exponential wins, exponential progress, exponential development. So those were some of my takeaways and my reflections.
Very good. Very good. One thing that just comes to my mind is that your appetite is in direct correlation with what you can see. Your appetite is in direct correlation to what you can see. So when I was young, I couldn't see much. So I wasn't pushing myself to be much. I couldn't see much, so I didn't push myself to be much. I didn't know how much really existed. I had a limited scope. I had a limited field of vision. And because I had a limited field of vision, I had a very limited scope of activity. I basically did the same thing with the same people in the same place every single day. I did not go outside of my little box because that's all I thought there was. I want you to, when I introduce these kind of concepts to you and we work together, it's to show you the kind of growth that you can experience and have an impact you can have if you only do what is not. It goes against the grain and it goes against the norm. People look at me and they say, Shaan, why would you give so much value for free every single day? Why would you do it? And I say, well, this is how we did 450K in less than 90 days. We went live for free and we helped people. And then it's like, well, how do you turn that into money? And realistically, the money happens on its own. But you gotta see yourself. Your field of vision has to change from one of scarcity to one of abundance. And the only way you do that is by taking so much risk that it's no longer a risk. You take so much risk that it's no longer a risk. And what would break other people becomes your new norm. You live in that exponential zone, that small fragment of space where no one else is willing to go. But for a limited amount of times, because they don't have the endurance, they can't stay there. Limitless is a word that comes to mind. Ongoing education is a part of it. Ongoing, never-ending education is a part of it. Constant learning and repetition is a part of it. Constant improvement, constant and never-ending improvement is a part of it. You have to really become what you're trying to sell. So you don't have to sell it anymore. You can just be it. It's authenticity marketing. It's really being who you are. I don't have to think long. Me and Bobby don't have to go back and forth. We don't have to practice and routine. This is not scripted. This is authentic. It is what it is. I am who I am. If you're looking for exponential results, then you click on a link, you buy something, you come inside, because if this is what we give you for free, then you already know what's on the back end. It's like a 5-star gourmet Michelin star diner where someone's outside and you actually get something and you get to taste it and you're like, oh my God. I can remember when there was a Michelin 5-star restaurant and the chef charged $300 per plate. No matter what, it was $300 per plate. I think it was 300 or 3,000. It might have been 3,000 per plate, but this is what he did. After hitting the Michelin, you guys research it, Google it. This is just what I know. This is what I know, but I don't know the names and the specifics, but I know this stuff because I study success. I study exponentiality all the time. Exponential reality is where I stay. And this is why we've been able to do what we do and why we're able to be here this morning. Michelin 5-star restaurant, chef goes vegan. Google it, study it, become it. You've got to turn everybody knows about the 80-20% rule. You got to turn your 20% into your 80% and create a new 20 with a new vision, with a new risk, with a new danger. Most people say this, Bobby. They say, when I get to this level, then I'll stop. No, when you get to that level, that's when you need to begin again. People make sales and then stop. People create courses and then stop. People make $1 million and then stop. And that's why they never hit 10. Because they don't strive. Their vision, their field of vision doesn't push them to break the old versions of themselves and recreate a new identity. So people who never saw $60,000 a year, for those people, like $60,000 is a new world. It's creme de la creme. They've become. But if you make $60,000, everything you have is in debt. Everything you have is from debt. But for some people, debt is the norm. And they've made it because they're in debt. And the more debt they can get into, the better they feel and the more successful they think they are, until they're not. And life really shows up and they have a hiccup somewhere in that timeline, and that compound interest that was right there on their neck crushes them. Crushes them. I'll give you one example before we go. A spaceship. Think of all the energy, all the firepower, and all the torque that it takes, all of the risk that it takes to get above the gravity line. All the pushing, all the force, all the fire. And then as soon as it hits that gravity barrier and it goes outside of that gravity barrier, everything kind of slows down, stops, and relaxes. And they begin to shed things. When you become exponential, it will become a shedding of other things that don't keep you at that space. Less is more. Add a zero, take away all distractions, and create David. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Why? Because we can. Let's grow.